What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. My name is Kevin, and you're watching the Monday Weekly Market Watch, where we go over Lorcana news, meta trends, and card prices. We do these every Monday and Friday, so if you like this content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're part of the Goon Squad community, because it does support the channel. My Lorcana Goons, I want to start off today by giving a huge thank you and goodbye to one of our good friends, Joseph, over here on the left side. He is a Southern California player. He comes to support us at our location in Ninja Exchange, and we had a big case tournament this weekend with 20 players to say goodbye as he continues his Lorcana journey elsewhere. Super excited for his future, and honestly just want to give a moment to say thanks so much, Joseph, if you're watching right now. I really appreciate what you've done to help us cultivate a Lorcana community in northern San Diego County. It always gets me emotional having to say goodbye to some friends and whatnot, but you know, right now it's more of a see you later, because when all the events start happening again, when we have DLCs again, I know we're gonna be able to hang out with you again, and that goes for everybody. It's been a while since we've had any Disney Lorcana challenges, any big official events, and you know, I'm starting to miss some of my friends from across the nation and across the world. So Disney Lorcana, please, if you could have some major events announcements soon, we'd be really excited to link up with some of our awesome friends again. But thanks again, Joseph, for everything you've done, man. I'm really excited for you to continue your Lorcana journey in the future and in your next place of residency, right? And obviously a huge shout out to everyone else who came to participate in the tournament. It was an awesome time. We had a prize payout of a top 6 right here. It was really cool. But yeah, shout out everybody who came by, man. I really appreciate the community there. But let's go ahead and stop being sappy. Let's talk about some meta trends that I wanted to bring up on the channel this week. I'm starting to notice that Genie Wish Fulfilled is going back up in price a little bit. These were hidden as low as $5, and today the market price is $8.79, very close to $9. And the lowest verified is going to be Pro Play Games. They got 12 of them for you right there if you want to pick up a playset. Shout out Pro Play Games. You know, they have them for $9. So this Genie is no longer around $5. You're gonna have to pay $9 again, which is really good. This card was around $15 last format. It was super duper hyped, and after a while it did come down in price. And when the format started, a lot of people just gave up on Amethyst as a color, is what it feels like. And nowadays I feel like you can actually rely on this Genie to get you through the meta. If you're playing something like Amethyst Steel or Amethyst Emerald, I feel like you want to run this Genie in your deck. He quests for 2. He has evasive, and there's not that many outs to evasive in the very popular Steel decks. And if you're playing against a Ruby Sapphire deck, they're gonna have to use something like Brawl or Sisu Daring Visitor, or even big Shift Sisu to get rid of this Genie. And sometimes they don't have it, so you can keep questing for 2 over and over again, because the only evasive character that deck will play is probably Maui Half Shark, and even then a lot of the red blue decks are not playing that card. So Genie going back up in price this week because it definitely is a demand in the meta. Cold foils are going to be around $16, which is around where it's been settling at. They used to be closer to 20, and now lowest verified is going to be $16.60 by GGAZ. Here's an interesting one I really wanted to talk about. Sheriff of Nottingham Bushel Breeches. This is the Sapphire 9 cost card that can quest for 4. 5 strength, 9 willpower, that says for each item you have in play, you pay 1 less to play this character, and he has support. The reason why I want to talk about this card is because there is no cold foil printings anymore. Even if I refresh the page right now, you're not going to see any cold foil printings anymore. Why is this card being bought up? What's up with this chart right here? You can see this chart just shooting up in price. The non-foils are still very cheap, only about 25 cents, and you got to pay a little bit extra shipping, so at least $1. But check this out. Somebody purchased 2 of them for $15 each. Another sale right here, $2.25. 112. All the cold foils are just completely gone. Look at this, $9.99, 88 cents, $5, $2, $5. The reason I'm bringing this up is because Zan Syed, if you don't know Zan Syed, go check out his YouTube channel. One of the best players in the game posted his new deck list of Sapphire Steel, where he's playing 4 copies of this Sheriff from Nottingham. I do believe he got first place, if not top cut, at a pretty big tournament that he played this weekend. But yeah, he shared his deck list. It's playing 4 of this card, and what do you know? Over the course of like 24 hours, this card is no longer available on TCG Player as a cold foil. So, in my opinion, if you have these and you have them in cold foil especially, maybe get to listing. You know, you saw some of those recent sales, and they were as high as $15. So, $15 for a cold foil, that was about $1 last week. You know, not too bad in my opinion. Overall, though, like the power of this card, I think is actually pretty crazy. Being able to play a 5/9 character that can quest for 4, maybe as early as like turn 6 or 5, even is pretty powerful. In Sapphire Steel, especially, you have an insane amount of items that stick to the board. You have Maurice's Workshop to constantly draw cards every time you play an item, so that's really important too. So usually that deck can have about 5, 6 items on the board that will make this Sheriff only cost 3. So unless you're playing something like Find My Platinum, which will destroy every item on the field, or you're playing a variety of like Benjas and you're bouncing them back to your hand and playing them again, they're going to be able to play a 9 cost character on you pretty early. So not only do you have the ability to ramp into like heavy, like big cost characters and play them early, but now you can play them even earlier because the Sheriff of Nottingham, you pay 1 less for every item you have in play. And yeah, here's Zansayed on Twitter right here, actually holding up the Sheriff of Nottingham just to show off how good it is. And here's his deck list for those who are interested. You can find his deck list on his Twitter page, and he has a Metafy as well, and a YouTube, etc., etc. So here's some stuff that you can net deck and you can take to your locals. Maybe you guys want to try out the Sheriff of Nottingham combo. Look how many items he's playing: 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 22 items. Insane. Yeah, but I mean that's like a good like what is that, 1/3 of the entire deck. So that's really cool. I want to talk about Diablo Devoted Herald because this card continues to stay above $30 this week. Like I was saying, if you're not playing Sapphire, you're probably playing something anti-Sapphire, and that's going to consist of evasive characters, usually smaller body characters that can either quest for 2, or in this case, Diablo will net you some advantage by drawing cards every time they draw. So if you can shift Diablo before they drop Popsicles, Fortispheres, you're going to be able to have some decent hand recursion over and over again every turn. This card's still selling for around $32 to $33. Lowest verified Castello cards, 32 with $1 shipping. Then Goblin Town, $33 with $1.79 shipping. Getting very close to that $35 mark for your non-foil Diablos, and the cold foil Diablos are pretty much the same price, which we've been saying on this channel. Usually when these legendaries have enchanted rares, legendaries are very cheap in terms of the enchanted rare, especially on the cold foil market. $36.99 for a cold foil and about $34 for a non-foil, right? So only about $2 to $3 more, which is really cool if you want to get some shiny birds into your deck. Beast Tragic Hero. This card is, in my opinion, seeing more play than I thought it would this format, but it's still just dropping and dropping in price from $30 to as low as $21 today. Lowest verified by Powerline Games. Shout out you. What an awesome name right there. I know a lot of us really want Powerline to be a part of the Disney Lorcana universe, which I hope we get very soon, because even nowadays, I get a lot of people who are coming into the Lorcana space for the first time, like people who are buying Pokemon packs at our vendor booth in Carlsbad and Ninja Exchange, by the way. And then they walk over to the Lorcana and they see, oh, Disney cards. Is there any Goofy movie cards? Is there any Powerline cards? And I always gotta tell them no, not yet, but hopefully soon. Anyways, though, Beast Tragic Hero, the cold foil, these are gonna be still selling for $50+. Look at that, $52.80 right here, lowest verified by Brazilian Card Bazaar. If you want to pick up a cold foil beast, but there's also a Japanese cold foil beast, which is really cool to see. We now have Japanese Floodborn cards, if you guys didn't know, and you can purchase them on TCG Player as well for significantly cheaper. $40 for 2 of them right here from Enchanted Finds, which is, in my opinion, a very good deal. So if you want to pick up some of these cold foil Japanese cards, you can find them already on TCG Player, and chances are they're gonna be cheaper than their English counterparts. Briefly, I want to talk about Cinderella Ballroom Sensation, which is one of the best cards you can play in like your Amber Steel deck, or if you're playing a different Amber strategy, maybe you want to sing songs really early on. So this staple from Rise of the Floodborn continues to sell for very close to $5. I feel like these have been going up in the long term. They were a little bit cheaper, around $2 to $3, and today the lowest verified is going to be GGAZ with $4.50 and $1.30 shipping. So after shipping, you're basically paying around $5. There's some sellers here who have shipping included, and they're going to have it for $5 easy. So Cinderella Ballroom Sensation kind of sitting at around $4 to $5. This card also does have an enchanted rare. The enchanted rare is significantly more than the cold foil, though. But these cold foils are selling for around $10. Look at that. Ninja Cat Card Shop, $9.50. That's not too bad either, because they used to be way more. They used to be closer to $15, but they've just been coming down. But this card's still very relevant. You know, I do think Amber Steel's still a very strong deck in the meta, and most of the time, if you can open up Cinderella plus any song, you can probably put yourself ahead of the game, whether or not you're going first or second. Speaking of steel decks, Cogsworth, very good against the opposing steel decks. And if you're playing Sapphire Steel, maybe you want to try playing this card. Some people have differing opinions. You know, some people think Cogsworth's good. Some people think it's not very good. Overall, though, it's been seeing sales movement, though. Look at this. These were selling for around $1, $2, even $3 from like February to March. And now that we're in April, the lowest verified is going to be $3.61 with $1.31 shipping. And then Womp Trading has it right here for $3.87, $1.31 shipping. And it continues to climb up to $4 with that extra extra shipping costs. So anywhere from $4 to $5, I do think is what this Cogsworth is going to start settling at this week. Cold foils are going up in price as well. These were around $6 to $7, and actually they're still very close to there at the lowest verifieds. We have 722 right here with some extra shipping by removal, win games, but then 925 by physics right here, shipping included. So $9. Are we going to get to $10 for these cold foil Cogsworths? Who knows? But this graph looking pretty nice right here. I do think that there is some merit to playing this card in your Sapphire decks if you feel like you have a strong steel meta at your local scene. But overall, it does feel kind of unnecessary sometimes. Like, I wouldn't put it in my Sapphire deck because it does feel a little slow. Hey, but if people have differing opinions, let me know what you think down below. Since Sapphire is the most popular color right now, I do want to talk about Tipo, the Growing Sun, a very powerful card that'll let you ink twice per turn. Lowest verified is 197 now by J&J's trading cards with some extra shipping costs. Then it jumps up to 250 with these extra shipping costs right here. J Breezy TCG, D&A cards right there. So these are all going to be around 250, getting very close to $3 each for this uncommon Tipo Growing Sun. And your cold foil Tipos are going to be around $10 again. Lowest verified is $8.76 with $1 shipping. Then it jumps to Team The right here. They have it for $10 with shipping included. So Tipos now back at the $10 cold foil mark, which I'm not surprised because it just feels like everybody is playing Sapphire. Like, there's always at least like 2/3 of the tournaments that I go to, it's all Sapphire decks. Speaking of cold foils, Mr. Smee selling for $6 today on the cold foil, which I think is pretty cheap. These were selling for a lot more, closer to $10, $11 at one point. But today, lowest verified, we have over 9,000 collectibles. Love that name. Pretty awesome for $6 with shipping included. And we have a lot of other sellers right here that have it for very close to $6 before we hit this 748 verified by J-Chart cards. I think that's a deal right now. So if you want to pick up some shiny Smees, I think this card's never going to go out of style. So I personally want to pick some up myself for my personal collection. If you're playing Diablo, there's chances that you're playing Prince John, Greediest of All as well. The discard strategy is very good. I still think discard is a very annoying strategy to have to deal with, and I know a lot of people would agree with me. Definitely not like ban-worthy or nothing, but I do think that you can get away with playing a discard strategy in this Sapphire meta, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that same way. We have some verified sellers here, have it for $257 with extra shipping. J-Chart card, shout out you. Then $3 here by Dokkan Card Store with the extra shipping. So around $4 for your Prince John's Greediest of All. Cold foils for this card are picking back up in price. As you can see from this chart, they were selling at less than $8 at one point. But today, lowest verified is going to be $9.27 by TriStar Hobby. And then after that, it's going to be $8.78 with $1 shipping. Then $9.90, $9.08 with extra shipping. You're basically going to have to pay $9 to $10 for your Prince John Greediest of Alls, where the market price is still closer to $8. All the recent sales are going to be at $9. So I do think this card is very good. Trending back into the meta, discard strategies for any Emerald enjoyers out there are still very viable. Some other timeless staples are starting to see some more sales movement this week, like Ariel the Spectacular Singer. If you're an Amber Steel enjoyer, these are shooting back up a little bit closer to $4 to $5. They were definitely a lot cheaper. Columbus Card Shop has them for $3.88 with $1.31 shipping. Then $4 right here with $1.31 shipping by Country Nerd Collects. Shout out you guys for these awesome deals. Plenty of sellers also have it for a little bit cheaper, like $3 with extra shipping, but you're basically paying around $4 for this Ariel Spectacular Singer every time, and it's from the first chapter, so I do feel like first chapter staples are always hard to find. Right now, somebody actually asked me, shout out Johnny by the way, somebody had asked me at the booth, what are like good sets to pick up staples for the current metagame, and every time I look at my binder or like my staples section, it usually tends to be like sets 1 through 3. Yeah, there's really good staples in, you know, the sets 4 through 7, but sets 1 through 3 really do feel like they have some of the most like impactful cards in the game. Cinderella, Ariel, Be Prepared, Fishbone Quill, Flavor Sham, Popsicle, stuff like that. They all come from the first 3 sets, and I just feel like they're always hard to find. A lot of people do not want to part ways with those cards, so some of these cold foils are still pretty expensive. Like MTG Nerdy here has the Ariel for $14.67 with $1.50 shipping. I'd love to see that. And then Madtown Magic $16.75 shipping included, so around $16 for your cold foil Ariels. And Amber Steel, because this is usually like an Amber Steel card, not the most popular deck in the meta, but even so, this card's still pretty expensive, which is pretty good for the collectible market in my opinion. And since we're on the topic of first chapter, if you didn't know, the first chapter booster boxes are selling for $400. This market price is now officially $423. Check this out. Recent sales are going to confirm this. $415 right here. 402, 402. Plenty of Japanese also selling for around $50 to $60. So if you want Japanese first chapter, maybe pick them up right now before them tariffs start hitting if you're from the States over here. But yeah, $420 is going to be the most recent sales prices for the first chapter booster boxes, and MP Business has 10 of them ready to go right here for $420. So if you've been holding your first chapter booster boxes for the sake of collectability, they're going up in value. They're definitely they definitely feel like a good keepsake in the meantime, or I just feel like it's a good item to collect if that's something that you want to have in your repertoire. Personally, I always just want to keep like one sealed of everything for my personal collection because I just think it looks nice. I want to go over some like promo / enchanted news because the Mickey Mouse Playful Sorcerer has been coming down in price. This is the Mickey Mouse that you got for free for attending the D23 convention last year in 2024. They were basically handing these out like candy over the 3-day weekend if you went into the Ravensburger Lorcana booth, and a lot of people got a lot of these. And it doesn't surprise me that these have just been tumbling down in price since October at $200 today. Now we're seeing lowest verifieds at $9.99. That's literally going to be $100 right there by trading collectible. Shout out you for these low prices. Scott's Emporium has them for $100 as well, and these people have multiple listed, so you can just pick them up from that one seller. We have recent sales also selling for $99, $89, $89, $98, etc. So I think it's safe to say this Mickey Mouse is now selling for $100, not necessarily $120, $140, $150 like it was the last couple months or so. Enchanted Zeus has been picking up in price recently, actually. This is really cool to see. From as low as $160 to $170 is now the asking price by First Choice TCG. Love to see that, especially if you've been collecting some of these cards. You used to be able to find these for around $150 on TCG Player, $149, $150 for some light blades, $160, but there's definitely a lot of sales movement in this card throughout these first couple months of the year, which is always reassuring to see for some of your Enchanted cards. I personally think that Enchanted staples are probably the way to go if you want to collect some of the Enchanted. It's cards like Along Came Zeus, I think, are just going to be very good in the future, and they're good in the current metagame as well. And you know who else is really good in the current metagame? Chernabog Evildoer. We talked about this Enchanted last Friday with Zach Stone. So like I said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep tuning in Mondays and Fridays to keep up with your meta trends. But Chernabog Evildoer, is played in the Lemon Lime Lady in the Champ deck. You can actually play like 3 Chernabog, which is really cool, and that's probably the first deck that you can do that. And I think because of that, this card has been seeing a lot of sales movement. Even over this weekend, we have multiple sales happening at $78, $73, $79 even, but you cannot find it for that cheap anymore. No, there's only 7 listings available. The lowest verified is $99. Then it jumps to Collector's Cauldron right here after Authority Games for $100. Then $115, $120. At the very bottom, it's at $229 for a PSA 9 Chernabog. So if you want your raw Chernabogs right now, you're probably going to have to pay at least $100. I think it's a great card. I think people were sleeping on this card for a very long time in the beginning of the format, so I'm not surprised that it is shooting up to $100, and I won't be surprised when we come back to this video on Friday and we see that this price is a little bit higher than $100, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm a little sad that I couldn't afford to get like my 3 before the price shot up, because if I could have paid $75 as opposed to $99, I definitely would have, but hey, I'm playing on a budget too. And speaking of Chernabog, there was actually a PSA 10 that sold for $71 through bids on eBay, and that happened today. So I'm on 130 Point right now. This is a website that tracks eBay recent sales and best offers, etc. So sometimes you can find some really good deals on eBay. And this is the PSA Mondays section of the video. We're going to go over some PSA 10 Lorcana cards that have been selling in the recent time frame, like this Chernabog, which sold for $71. That's cheaper than what you can buy the raw Chernabog for right now. We also have a Mickey Mouse Playful Sorcerer, the one we were just talking about, that's now selling for around $100. The PSA 10 for this sells for dang near triple the price, which is really cool in my opinion, especially if you're someone who's into collectibles or even just like the idea of like long-term value, right? I really like this one. Gontu foil PSA 10 legendary selling for $85. Very interesting right there. If you know the memes from first chapter, you know Gontu is not the most appreciated legendary in the Lorcana space. So that's really cool to see that at least the PSA 10 foil Gontu will still have some value in it. We have a GamesCon promo Goofy right here, PSA 10 selling for $140 for you. A Rapunzel right here, gifted with healing, PSA 10 selling for $52 at 17 bids. Not foil, so very, very close to the raw Rapunzel price. So personally, I think if you're interested in getting graded Lorcana cards, check eBay because instead of buying it raw and then submitting it to PSA, you can probably find a PSA 10 for the exact same price. But once again, it's not foil, so that's why it's that price right here. Ooh, look at this one. We have a PSA 10 Mufasa, Ruler of Pride Rock. This is from the Shimmering Skies. This is probably one of the, like, this is like top 5 enchanteds, I think. Maybe like top 10 enchanteds, but still very powerful collectible right here. A lot of collectability in Mufasa. So many people love the Lion King IP, and I think that's really important for the game too. Look at this. 32 bids, selling at $550. That's about double the price for its raw counterpart. And last, we have some heavy hitters right here. We have a D23 Captain Hook PSA 10. This was from the 2022 D23 Expo where Lorcana was originally announced. And this sold for $1,300 at 27 bids. Love to see it. A shout out you, whoever bought it, because that's a pretty awesome collectible right there. And then we have a PSA 10 Elsa selling for $1,425. Love to see that one. Really insane right there. I honestly I'm very glad that people are still, buying the Lorcana cards for the sake of collectability. And this was just yesterday. So these are all very recent sales. D23 Rockstar Stitch selling for $2,300 in 7 bids. Oof, dang. So these are some pretty heavy hitters. I'm pretty sure though that these have sold for more. I think right now we're still in this space of Lorcana where the prices have settled at a lot cheaper than their all-time highs. So these are nowhere near the all-time highs for these cards, but they're still seeing a lot of movement. And then we have a PSA 10 Baymax Armored Companion. This is the Nationals promo, the non-foil, selling for $113 and 31 bids, which is really interesting because the raw for this card still sells for around $70 to $80. And I think eventually this is going to get the Cinderella / Rapunzel treatment, where if you guys didn't know, you received Cinderella and Rapunzel promos at the Disney Lorcana challenges. And when they first dropped, people were selling them for around $80 to $50. But if you look at the prices right now, those sell for $100 to $200 each. So I do think we're going to get the same treatment eventually with the Baymax. So to see it sell for this cheap right now for a PSA 10 is pretty cool. Ooh, and last one, because I just saw this one right now. We have a Rockstar Stitch that sold for $875 in a PSA 10. I do think that's technically more than the raw all-time high, because when this card first came out, a lot of people were selling it like the week of for like $700, right? But in a PSA 10, wow, this is selling for almost $1,000. $875 with 20 bids. That's a lot of bids as well. So that to me, that tells me there's a lot of interest, a lot of activity in the collectible Lorcana space. But let me know what you guys think below. Let me know what you guys think of the Market Watch. Guys, I know we announced a giveaway last Friday. We're going to announce the winner for that giveaway this coming Friday in Friday's video, so stay tuned for that. And please let me know down below what you guys think of the collectible market overall and what you guys think of the meta / Sheriff of Nottingham making big waves this format. But thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. If you guys are still here, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to support the channel. Huge shout out to everyone who comes to visit us in Carlsbad at Ninja Exchange. This is where I get to vend on the weekends. And once again, a very big thank you to MinMax, Tony over here for helping us throw this tournament as a goodbye, for Joseph. And if you're someone who goes to play your local game store, your local leagues, just know it is you that is keeping the game alive, especially right now in these awkward times where there's no events, people want to ban lists, etc., etc. It's you, the consumer, the player. You're the reason why this game has such an awesome community. So from the bottom of my heart, we just want to say thank you over here at the Lorcana Goons channel, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep going to your local leagues, keep playing with your homies, keep entering these tournaments, because it does support not just the channel over here, it supports the entire gaming community. So thank you, Joseph. Thank you everyone who shows up to these shops, and thank you too for watching this video. Can't wait to drop the next one or to drop some more videos this week. Stay tuned to Lorcana Goons for more, and we'll see you goons next time.